We're coming to you from the B20 Summit in the national capital that is discussing global economic challenges with global business leaders right here in the national capital. And I'm being joined by Mr. Dinesh Khara, the chairperson of the State Bank of India. Thanks very much, Mr. Khara, for joining us. So in the air, we can feel that there are so many conversations going on here at the B20 Summit. But what do you think need to be the key objectives, the key priorities given India's presidency of the G20 this time?
I think India has shown a way to the whole of the globe. Here is a country which can move quite fast with such a large population. We have already seen that it took almost 54 years for us to break the first trillion barrier of the GDP, and thereafter it took almost 6 to 7 years for moving another trillion. And today we stand at 3.7 trillion and we are the 5th largest economy in the globe.
Right.
So I think this is a very remarkable story which we are very proud of. Now going forward, we are looking at it now almost about 850 billion worth of GDP is getting added every year.
Right.
So that is actually giving us the confidence that we are going to be a 5 trillion economy by the year 2027 for sure.
Right.
Now if you look around the levers which are there for the growth, one of the very key theme here was relating to sustainability, relating to ESG, and I think that is one of the very important lever which is being unraveled by Indian economy. Today when it comes to renewable energy, I think seeing is believing. You go around the country, you will see the adoption of the renewable energy.
Right.
May it be the airports and may it be the farm sector. Everywhere you get to see the solar panels. And that is nothing but a reflection of how we will consume the fossil fuel, how we will limit our import of the fossil fuel, and that is how we will support the growth of the economy in this country. So I think straight from there, I'll come to the next item, which is the climate finance.
Right.
Perhaps these initiatives have not been seen in such a magnitude anywhere else what we get to see here in India. Now, if you look at the renewable energy, EVs, battery storage, EVs on the road, and the charging stations which have come up in such a short time at such a scale,
Right.
I think is something which we can showcase to the world at large.
Right. And so you mentioned the point about income, the aim to be a 5 trillion economy by the end of the decade and then to be a developed economy by the time we celebrate 100 years of independence. That's the Prime Minister's vision. But one argument is that these are nominal incomes. Is it equitable growth? That's one of the focuses here at the B20 also, that you need to have growth while taking everybody together.
In fact, that is the reason financial inclusion is something which is very important.
Right. And even a recent SBI report came out which said that per capita incomes will grow 7 times by 2047. But if you take an inflation rate of about 5%, that just means that it will just double in the next 24 years. So do you think that's good enough, per capita income just doubling
I would say that,
real terms?
Beyond a point, once the inflection is reached, the incomes will grow faster and the inflation will be contained. It is not that it's not going to be a linear trend of the inflation going forward. So that's what is going to be seen. And moreover, if at all we will move towards the status of the developed economy, our inflation will be much controlled. So if you look at it, the fossil fuel import which you are trying to control is one of the very important reason how we will be in a position to check the inflation going forward. So I think apart from that, the financial inclusion is a very, very important subject, because it's inclusive growth which we are aiming for. And for that inclusive growth to really happen, unless and until the initiative which we took in terms of opening of the Jan Dhan account and then ensuring that all the DBT flows through them, which ensure that the leakages are minimized. And on the top of it, we did not confine ourselves only to the banking accounts. We also ensured that they should be having the benefit of insurance, life insurance, non-life insurance, accident insurance, and also they should be in a position to have the social security benefit to the APY. So I think these are the product, richness of the product, which has led to a situation where today almost about those zero balance accounts have got an average balance of not less than 3,500 rupees. Almost about 10 trillion worth of financial savings have been channelized into the mainstream.
Right.
So I think these are the kind of initiatives which have helped us in achieving inclusive growth, which has helped in terms of promoting the savings habit in the country and also channelizing those savings also.
But
And
would you say that
going forward, now what we are aiming for is in terms of when we have started giving Swanidhi, we are trying to ensure that the last mile funding, dispensation of credit should also happen. When we are talking about the Mudra loans, this is something which we are trying to do. We are trying to do it all digitally. So we are trying to create an experience which is exceptional.
so there are steps being taken?
That's absolutely.
But would you say that more needs to be done to include everybody in the growth? Because in India, of course, you're aware of the income inequality. Top 10% holds more than 70% of the income, according to a report that came by Oxfam. So do you think our focus needs to be more, there needs to be more work for
I
inclusive
think
growth?
with the kind of economic activity and the dispersal of the economic activity which is happening, this will be the natural outcome of that.
Just my last question to you, sir, on the banking sector. Just this year, we saw 3 major US banks collapsed. And after that, there were fears in the global banking sector. People's trust really in the banking sector was a bit shaken. Do you think India is immune from such banking risks? And do you think the worst is over for the global banking fears?
I would say that India is immune as far as the contagion is concerned. And that is attributed to the very strong and the robust regulatory mechanism which is obtaining in the country as compared to the developed West where there were light regulatory regime for a set of banks. Here is a situation where we have brought in the NBFCs, the cooperative sector and everybody else also into the banking ambit, into the regulatory ambit of RBI. So we have strengthened our regulatory oversight. So that is one of the reasons why perhaps we are quite well insulated.
Thanks very much, Mr. Khara, for joining us for
Thank you.
this
Thank you.
conversation. Very insightful indeed. Thanks very much.